All right. Alex, what's up, man?
Not much, Dave. How you doing?
Good. We'll try this again. We've had some technical difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, let's talk about some approaching. You
All
ready?
right.
So I feel like approaching is, you know, one of the most difficult things guys struggle with. They have a lot of issue around it.
Mhm.
And rightfully so. Like I understand that, the rejection is never fun. But at the same time, that's how we connect. That's how we get the girl. That's how we have a great social life and a great dating life is through approach.
Mhm.
And, so many guys struggle with this and they have a lot of stories and a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings around approaching and what it's all about, and they get stuck and they get in their heads or they don't even approach at all.
Mhm.
And it creates, a really sad existence for that guy because he becomes antisocial, he becomes a recluse, he, you know, is using porn just to like get himself off because he has no woman in his life.
Mhm.
And wow, what a not a good place to be in and live. Um, from your perspective, what have you seen guys struggle with? I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff over the years, and I know you have. And just curious, what are you thinking?
Yeah, for the guys I typically see, like it usually breaks up into like two different camps. One is like basically just scared, right? Just scared, like a little bit ashamed of themselves, like all totally normal, like hiding some emotion, um, hiding their their quirks, their eccentricities that actually like make them them, because they feel like, oh, maybe this attractive woman wouldn't be interested in the same things I'm interested. Whatever little like innocuous thing that might be, could be like more generalized, like social fear, like fear of being seen, like emotionally fear of like consequences of fucking up, right? So those more like fear-based guys, um, who won't take the action, right? And then there's the guys, this is like more like me in my experience, but the guys who are more like high agency, can like really drive themselves to do the thing, but even when doing the thing, maybe they're not allowing themselves to connect emotionally. Maybe their like relationships feel unfulfilled. uh, Maybe they can like push themselves to like take the risk, be bold, but also can't see like a relationship or something about their future like working out well for them in a way that's like self-reinforcing. So those guys can like take the risks, but it feels like harder than it should be. Like they're fighting some kind of fight in the process.
Yeah, that internal fight, right? The low self-esteem, the no sense of agency. And we were talking earlier, like a lot of these guys have no vision of them even being with a woman because they can't believe it. They can't comprehend that a woman would want to be out with them because of their past rejections, their past failures, and that cognitive bias that's built from rejection because they don't have all the components working for them like they should, to make it successful. And a lot of guys don't even believe that they're attractive. When I was doing the underdog to top dog call the other day, I had the guys do an exercise around what they have been told that is attractive about them and what they believe is attractive about themselves. And it was an extremely difficult exercise for them because, men aren't talked about even as little boys as beautiful, as attractive. It's, hey, you do this, you do that, you be the man. We're not referred to in ways of attractiveness, so to speak. we are from women, but in a way that doesn't register to the man typically as attraction because
Yeah.
as also as guys, we think about attraction as beauty, not
Yeah.
like our essence, our being, our masculinity, our groundedness, our ability to contain the feminine, right? That's all very attractive to women. And when guys don't hear that they're doing a good job with that, they don't believe that they're attractive at all. And so they have no positive reference experience when it comes to dating
Hmm.
across the board.
Yeah. 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 A lot of the like things that we think are being attractive as a man are like depersonalized in some way. So like, so I could be like, Dave, nice glasses. It's like, but that doesn't really say much about you, you know? Um, versus like being told or being encouraged, like you seem like a smart guy with like really good insight. You get a lot of care for people, like that kind of stuff. It hits deeper, right? And
Yeah,
unfortunately, we're put in a school. I used to be a teacher, so like put in a school system where you know your primary measurement of worth is how much output and like problems you can solve versus like who you are, how you treat people, how people feel with you, right? And it's like it's the deck is not stacked in our favor, unfortunately.
definitely not from that perspective. And I know what you're talking about. And you said something in there and I caught it and I can't remember what it was now. I just forgot. Um,
Is it the
anyway, we'll move
depersonalized?
on. No, it was something before that. It was something about when you were teaching and I don't know, whatever. It'll come back. Um, yeah, and so like when a guy lives in that world of everything that we just talked about that's fairly negative, you know, there's loneliness, there's reclusiveness, there's shame, there's fear of being seen, there's, you know, all types of like social ridicule that he's thinking about that could happen to him if he does something wrong, creating a lot of social anxiety ultimately, right? Um, from guys that you've worked with, what do you what do you see from them when it comes to that stuff?
Yeah, yeah. Um, there's usually quite a bit of a fear or like a fear of like imagined consequence that's always playing through in their brain. And so this is going to like it's going to color their past, like memory recall. So for example, like I see a lot of guys who are like very like charismatic, like well socialized, easy to get along with. Like they're like honestly like they'd be great friends, right? Um, but for some reason they don't see that information. They just if I ask them like what are your relationships like, they'll probably recall all of the times that people look down on them, people gave them like some harsh criticism, people like abandoned them, and not actually recall the times where like women were attracted to them, like making friends was easy, like their parents really cherished them, right? And so these kind of belief structures are going to color the past. And then also what you said about being able to imagine like a positive future for themselves, like they're going to be playing through thoughts of like catastrophic failure, like oh if I go
Yep.
approach that girl then she's going to look at me with a look of disgust on her face and tell me to get away from her. um, there's going to be like her boyfriend's probably just around the corner, he's going to come beat me over the head, right? All of these like and those are like some kind of like outlandish ones. Could be subtle ones, just like oh she's gonna like be a little scared when talking to me and then like walk away fast. All of these like little negative future projections going on, just like cycling in their mind all day. And so, especially when
Yeah.
it's a hot girl that they want to talk to, that they want to ask out on a date, like, those are just going to cycle like faster and faster. And so, it's like a lot of the work is breaking the guys out of that pattern, like cycling these like shitty memories and shitty future projections into something that's actually gonna like empower them. Like so to those
Yeah,
guys be like, yeah,
them projecting those negative emotional consequences out there in the future about something that hasn't even happened yet. And I know you've seen it with approaching. I've seen it a thousand times. Guys are like, "Oh, but this is going to go wrong. That's going to go wrong." I'm like, "You don't even know. You're not even there yet. You haven't even made the approach."
mm-hmm,
And things are already falling apart in their mind, exactly like you're saying. They're
mm-hmm,
just like, I'm not even there yet, and it's already a done deal. Like she hates me.
mm-hmm,
And, you know, wow, what a world to live in if you're living like that, right? I mean, you and I have both seen women attracted to men, and men will come running back to us and say, "Ah, that was terrible. That fell apart."
mm-hmm,
And we're like, she's still looking at you.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's not like so many men cannot read all of the nuances, the social cues that women are giving off because they're so subtle. And if you've never been trained in that world and you've never been trained to kind of feel and dissect and look at all of this expression that's coming off a woman, so many guys just get it wrong and, lead themselves to a really bad place, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've seen it, guys that we've worked with that are just tucked away, hidden, recluse, like living in fear, like just walking human beings, like just filled with anxiety.
Yeah, yeah. Something that you said that stuck out too is like guys that'll like leave interactions early, even when it's going well. Like, I've also seen guys just manipulate the woman into rejecting him. It's like
Yes.
based on their own. It's like their own belief is so strong that women don't like them that they like walk up and they feel collapsed and they're like uh, they have this really like it could be like a needy type of thing. It could be like a some kind of like aggression towards women, and then she just
Yeah,
responds.
you had a bunch of wind coming through right there.
Oh, sorry.
So
Uh,
then we didn't catch like the last minute.
last minute. Okay.
The 30 seconds, 30 seconds.
Okay.
So yeah, you're saying that he's manipulating her into rejecting him.
Yeah, yeah. He's holding that belief so strongly that his body is playing out all of the like maybe it's playing out like just a feeling of like collapse or like he's holding some aggression. Um, he's like just doesn't feel safe and like relaxed and easy to be around because of all those beliefs that are playing out. And then of course the woman's gonna go like, "You get away from me," and it's like
Yeah.
she. I actually say that as a positive too. It's like she totally followed your. I'll tell clients like she totally followed your lead right there. Like you were telling yourself like you shouldn't want to talk to me because like I'm disgusting, and she totally followed
Yeah.
your lead. So let's just figure out how to make the opposite belief happen. Like at least for the 30 seconds that you might be talking to this girl, so you can just relax into it.
Absolutely, man. I've just seen so many guys destroy the opportunities that are right in front of them. Girls will be touching them. Girls will be like really engaged with them, very emotionally connected, having great conversation. I'm watching the whole interaction and they just walk away, you know? Like one of the most outlandish things I've ever seen coaching guys on approach is we were in a bar. This girl is literally playing with this guy's cock in the bar,
Mm-hmm.
and he is just like freaking out, doesn't know what to do. They had already been talking for like 20 minutes. And because it's escalated that fast in the bar, he freaks out, comes running over to me. Is like, what should I do? I was like, you're done, man. Like, you should not be here talking to me. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's playing with your cock. Like, what are you doing talking to me? And this is just a prime example of how far things can escalate and guys will destroy it. because their reality is so far based in that negative cognitive bias of this is not going to work out, that when it does start working out, they'll even sabotage when it does work out because they have no experience of it actually working out. And that's another thing, right? So many guys have this fear of success.
Mhm.
Like that when things do work out, like you're saying, he will manipulate her into destroying this entire interaction with his belief system. So yeah, that's a really good point as well. And I've seen it countless times, but that was like the most outlandish one that I've ever seen, like in a bar like that. Everything was good to go, and boom, just destroys it.
Mhm.
Um, just mind blowing.
Mhm.
So, when guys are living in this lifestyle of not approaching, not dating, not having good social circle, you know, they're feeling like, from my perspective, they're feeling, and I'm sure you agree with this, they're feeling like they're on the outside of this secret club that they can't get into.
Yeah.
And and then they start like, repressing their emotions and like they don't express who they are. They shut down all the time. They're afraid of embarrassment. Like, they're lonely even with their friends around.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have to say on that? Like, I know we've talked about this.
Yeah, yeah. The um like there's a kind of condition, like there's a difference between like loneliness and just the feeling, and then just the condition of being by yourself. And
Mhm.
so for a lot of guys, uh, like the first step, I'll just encourage them to like just own that you're by yourself right now. You have like time for yourself, that you've created some peace for yourself, and that you did choose that. It was voluntary. And like let's not make it about how the entire world looks down upon you for whatever reason, or whatever story is associated. Like let's just own like you're alone right now. That's okay. It's a good place to be, right? We need our pieces, man.
Yeah, exactly. I say it all the time. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. And then also like as a guy who is like capable, who is like functional in the world, like can a guy be alone and then also like want to connect, like earnestly want to connect with women, reach out, like maybe feel a little lonely, want some companionship, like that's all acceptable too. And a lot of guys will, they'll feel alone and just be like, oh, something's
Yeah,
wrong with me. Yes, they'll be like, something's wrong with me.
exactly.
You gotta
Exactly.
fix that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really healthy guy that can be alone, but still want to seek out companionship, friendship. He has his time to do his thing. Yes, he's alone, but he's not feeling loneliness. He's still engaged socially. He's still, dating. He's still having a great sex life, like with all the girls he's with, or with the one woman that he's chosen to be with, all that stuff. And that's a really healthy guy. The unhealthy guy, what you're talking about, right? Is the recluse guy, the guy that stays at home. He never does anything. He doesn't go out, but he'll sit and watch 1,000 videos like we're doing right now on the topic of approaching. He'll read all of Robert Greene's books. He'll, you know, he'll constantly go to like virtual, workshops and stuff, but he'll never actually step out into the real world of approaching and really get the help that he needs to get this handled. I mean, it can be a real struggle for some guys to get approaching dialed in, but if you're committed to it, you know, you can get it figured out pretty fast, especially when you're comfortable with who you are as a man. Like if you are really comfortable with who you are as a man, like you can get approaching dialed in super, super, super fast. Like the fastest I've seen is like The guys that come in who are comfortable with they are with who they are, and but they just don't know some of like the social cues and some of like I hate to use the word tactics, but like the ways social structures work and like how to play with all of that. Like those guys will get really, really far really fast when it comes to approaching.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, like even if they're nervous, like they're still open. They're still right with you.
Exactly.
Yeah, like not trying
Yeah,
to fight it.
exactly. Yeah, they're not fighting the emotional experience that they're having in the moment. They're just rolling with it and saying, "Yep, this is happening."
Hmm.
And that's a wonderful bit of vulnerability that women pick up on and they like absolutely love, you know.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest issues men have with approaching is all of the subtleties. There's so much subtle stuff going on in an approach. Like before you even walk up to her, before you even open your mouth, like she's already, if you're in proximity of her, she's already like tagged you with something.
Hmm.
And most of the time it's probably not good. And somebody that's good at approaching is not necessarily going to get that tag, right? They're gonna be moved up the notch to curiosity, to who's that guy? And yet he hasn't said a word. He's just comfortable, truly comfortable with who he is. He's grounded. He's emotionally aware. He's aware of her. He might even have looked at her for a couple seconds. Their eyes met, and he just holds that gaze for like 1 second longer than a normal gaze. And she tracks that, and it's that kind of subtlety that men are missing that affect their approaching that get them the rejection.
Hmm. And even just being able to be the guy who takes that first step, that's gonna move you up so many notches. Like 90% of guys aren't doing that. Talking to strangers at the grocery store, holy shit, what a wild thing, right? Like it's like such an easy, accessible thing to do. I say easy, obviously, with like not to disrespect whatever people are, experience, whatever like emotional experience people are having, in the process, but um, like as far as just like simply like getting someone's attention and starting a conversation, you know, it's very like functionally human thing to do that'll separate guys immediately from the pack.
Totally. And
What?
and I love that you use the grocery store approach example because wow, what a fantastic place to approach. Like the grocery store, like it's so funny for some reason. Like when I meet girls, it's usually in the fruit snack aisle, and so I don't know what it is, but like that's when I would meet them, and it's something along the lines of like, oh, what fruit snacks are you getting today? Oh, I like these, right? And you just start the conversation just like normal. What's with we say normal, but for a guy that never had that experience and can't do that, that's not normal. That's a terrifying experience for him. Um, can you talk about like where you came from and how you got to where you are with your approaching?
Yeah, yeah. Um, so like for context, like as a kid growing up, I was like I didn't really learn like from my parents, from my school system, how to be like emotionally present with people, how to be like how to just communicate in that context. I was very much skewed. This is also being an Asian thing, like skewed towards like achievement, pushing myself, right? So it's like my value was one in achievement, as opposed to like being connectable, like easy to be with, like a good friend, right? So I didn't have that strategy built. I just had the strategy of like I'm gonna be an achiever, right? And so like this strategy is it left me like pretty closed down, like closed down emotionally, uh, not very receptive to like social cues, like quite a bit of like being afraid to say what's really on my mind. a lot of like emotional masking because I had to like perform. Um,
How was that living in that world making you feel?
that was making me feel like socializing was just, it was like a game that everybody else knew how to play and nobody taught me the rules. Like by the age of 4, I have memories of being like way behind the social curve and like staying there, quite like pretty much staying there. And so like one of the drivers for me, first like just like watching YouTube videos of guys approaching girls, getting their phone number, I was like, I not only saw that as like just from me just like purely wanting connection, but I also saw it as a way to like overachieve and like separate myself from the pack of guys who weren't doing that, right? So that kind of like that pride of achievement like actually drove me quite a bit to like start building this skill, put myself out there, like take some risks that I could actually like feel confident, feel good about myself for doing, right?
And
Yeah.
when you were doing that, when you were first doing your approaches, you watched some videos, you know, you kind of went out and did some approaching.
Mm-hmm.
What was the feeling like when it comes to the approach? What were you feeling?
Oh, shaky. It's real shaky.
Shaky.
Yeah, just like a lot of energy in my body, like nervousness, excitement, right? I remember the first one I ever did. It's like me and some buddies, like a couple of our families. I was like 16. We're on a camping trip, and there was like we're hanging out on the beach, and there were two girls on the beach, like same age, like 15, 16, right? And I was kind of like egging on my friends to go do it because I didn't want to take the risk myself. But they backed down from it a few times, and I was just like, that pride kicked in, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be the guy to go talk to these girls, right?
Nice.
And then so I did, and then the whole time I'm like, kind of like remembering the like feeling quite nervous, quite shaky, um, but also like emotionally showing up for myself because it's a new experience. Like I was in it, right? And there was also this like little script running in the back of my head of like, okay, how did those guys on YouTube do the thing? When did they ask for the number? Like, should we stay here talking longer? Is this not going anywhere? Right? That whole like kind of overthinking thing. um, so obviously I wasn't as present as I could have been, but still really enjoyable. And then like it was actually a really positive like reference experience for me, um, because we ended up like me and my other buddy ended up meeting up with those girls later and like hung out on the beach at night, made out a little bit. I started getting really attached, right? So like the whole cycle of just like like nervousness, like over investment, over attachment, overthinking, like just played out. This one summer when I was 16, like from like from that moment to the plane passes, and then like
It's
yeah, from that moment, like a switch was flipped. And I was like, okay, I'm actually gonna go like fully into whatever this like reclaiming this confidence for myself. Because up until that point, I was just living like playing it safe, like being closed off, not taking risks. And like people in high school, things like that, they were like, oh, you seem different now. What happened?
nice.
Yeah, like
What age was this?
I was like 16. This was like going into my junior year of high school,
Okay.
and then I would
Nice.
I would practice like approaching girls in high school. It was really awkward looking back on it, but approaching girls in high school the way I saw like these like street day game pickup guys doing it, and just trying whatever I could. Yeah.
Nice. You're really lucky to have had that kind of access to how to pick up women because, you know, I'm much older than you and none of that was around when when I was in high school, right?
Hmm.
And there were always girls around. Like I was always hanging out in social circles where the girls were around. The girls liked me, I didn't like them. And it was 16 as well. Like my first approach
Hmm.
was actually to my very first girlfriend in high school. And I dated this girl for many years, but it was my very first approach. And like there was no reference material anywhere for like approaching a girl. I just saw her walking down the hallway. And like you guys know, I love skinny girls and petite girls. Like she's this tall, skinny girl. And like I was just like mesmerized by her ass. And I was like, who is this? And like I remember like walking really fast, like past her to like the end of the hallway and just kind of like hanging out and waiting so I could see kind of what she looked like from the front. And then I was like, whoa, like where did this girl come from? You know? And like it's like I had never seen her in the school before. And I was like, who is this? And so I'm like, wow, okay. Like I gotta ask this girl out.
Uh-huh.
So like I just this was my junior year, I think, or sophomore. I can't remember.
Hmm.
Something like that. But she was a freshman in school. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna just like follow her to her locker. So like I followed her to her locker and I was just like, I don't even remember what I said, but it was like, oh hey, like I like your jeans or some dumb shit like that, you know? And started the conversation and like ended up like talking to her and then getting her phone number. This was before cell phones. I think I had a cell phone. I think it was like one of those Nokia 6810s, like the original like cell phones, but I didn't have it in school. And so I think she like had written a number down on a piece of paper or whatever. And like it was a kind of a nerve-wracking experience because I was used to girls that I was hanging out with giving me attention and wanting to like date me. And I'm like, no.
Hmm.
To go from that to like, you have to be the guy that goes after the girl that he wants.
Hmm.
And so this was like my first experience of going after the girl that I wanted, not that the girls wanted me. Like, so that was a game changer for me. Like, kind of like you're saying, I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, I just rolled up to this hottie that like I wanted to be with, that I wanted to like hook up with, like all this, get her phone number at her locker. And I'm just like, damn. Like, I guarantee you, I was like super awkward and like didn't know how to end it, but I had like already gotten her number. So I was just kind of like, ah, cool. All right, I'll call you or something like that. And just like roll off, like just roll out. And, I ended up calling her and like, we dated for many, many years. So, like, yeah, like everybody's got to make the approach. And it doesn't matter if you have like a natural talent to read, social cues. There's always excitement, there's always a buzz for wherever you are at any level to go and make an approach to a girl that you find attractive. And that buzz, as you get a lot of experience, all it is neurologically is like the threat non-threat response happening in your brain. But like, you know, when you see somebody that's like really attractive and like got the vibe and like you're really like way into them, there's always that excitement, that little twinge of nervousness, and that's a fun thing. And that's not something that you should discount or try to get rid of. It's going to shrink itself over time, absolutely, but you know, it's it's awesome, you know? Like you should keep going for that because it goes from like gut clenching terror to something that's, oh, I get that buzz, that excitement. It's like a little high in your body that happens when you make the approach to the hottie or the baddie, as they say these days, right? And it's really, really, really important that you guys make the approach because it's gonna set you apart from so many men, and we've heard this theory like 20% of the men get 80% of the women. I actually believe it's much less than that. I believe it's about 10 or less percent get 90 plus percent of the women because guys today do not know how to do this. They don't understand the dynamics. And it's, and thank God that we're here. Thank God that the internet's here
Mhm.
and guys can go out and get that help, right? That they need. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, man, that's cool. Like when you said, "Oh, I remember my first approach," that like I was like, when did I do my first approach? I really had to like think about it, right? Because that was
You let me say this too. You probably
40, like 45 years ago or something like that. I don't know.
like you probably did very well because you didn't have all the garbage of like how it should be done floating around in your mind too.
That's a fair point, right? That's a fair point because the only thing I had were my other buddies that we would challenge each other to go after girls. That
Hmm.
was it. That's all we had.
Hmm.
So that's an interesting perspective. Yeah. I mean, there's like the pickup community has done a service and a disservice at the same time. Um, so yeah, interesting perspective.
Yeah, it's like great for like inspiration, you know? That was what I had. I was like, oh, another guy like me who's shy can do the thing. Great for inspiration. Like what can be possible, but like at the end of the day, like you don't need a lot of strategy or like understanding of how to do the thing. It's like more so just like the commitment to self that happens when doing the thing. Like that's the important thing. Like I always tell guys like there's two skills that we're doing when we're approaching. The first one is like emotional, like self acceptance, basically. Like whatever happens, happens. Whatever consequences happens, happens. However you feel, that's just how it is. You can still go talk to a girl, right? And then the second thing is like the actual like, can you read body communication signals? Can you like, get her attention in a way that doesn't scare the shit out of her? Like the practical stuff. But even then, like the most important thing is just like, can you just be right with like, yeah, maybe I don't feel 100% today. She's attractive. Something about her I like. That's okay. That's enough for me to just like commit to it.
So do you have a kind of, I don't want to even say system because every approach is different, but do you have parameters that you filter everything through when you're making an approach?
It's do I like her? That's the parameter. I would say,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, because at this point, my internal like belief system is is clear enough to where I can trust that if I'm attracted to a woman, it's because she's probably compatible with me in some way, probably like open or receptive to me in some way, right? Because I can generally trust that. Do I like? Yes or no? For guys that have like kind of crap belief systems where they're assuming that women are going to reject them or whatever, they might be drawn to women that reject them. So that's something to like notice. Like if guys are out there like being like they approach 100 girls and every single time they get rejected, they're probably just approaching the wrong girls because their belief systems are whack.
I've seen it 1,000 times. Taking guys out to Santa Monica, I will see the most shut off, bitchy girls walking down the street, and they will go straight up to them
Mm-hmm.
when they just walk past five girls that were just open and having fun and like giggling and like so easily approachable. So that's a very good point that you bring up because that internal belief system, that reflection of the the guy himself is going to get him that result over and over and over and over again. So yeah, I've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
So we've kind of talked about the guy a little bit, what he's been through. When it comes to success of approaching, I know you know where I'm going with this. when it comes to the success of approaching, that's typically more fearful than getting the rejection for a lot of guys because they now have to be responsible for what they've created. What have you seen from your guys?
Yeah, it can be. A lot of times it's just there's like obviously a lot of sensation, like a lot of like emotions, a lot of good feelings in the body that start to come up. Like it's like when a girl is like excited to see you, right? And I get it too. It's like big flush and it feels great. But like it can be overwhelming
Yeah.
sometimes. And that's normal. That's part of the process. Um, on one side, it is like that emotional kind of like overwhelm that can happen, uh, and then other ways too. It can be like fear of success might also mean like it's hard for them to see a positive outcome. So like say everything good happens, like maybe they go on a great first date and then all they could see in their mind is like she ghosts him, like they get into a relationship and it ends poorly. She discovers some secret about him that he was trying to hide the whole time. And, like there's some catastrophic end in
And he,
how he's
and he
seeing it
hasn't
play
even,
out.
yeah, and he
What's
hasn't
that?
even made a step toward her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm not laughing at the guy. I'm just laughing at the situation and like how preposterous it is because, if you're going through life with that kind of mentality, where else are you not showing up for yourself in life? Where else are you avoiding success because you're afraid of it? You're afraid of, you know, you're afraid of criticism, you're afraid of praise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what do you have left at that point,
Yeah, it's like it's responsibility of it. Say you like this girl, you get into a relationship, you have kids. Oh God. How am I gonna fuck it up now? It's like sometimes, guys gotta like work through that, or at least know how to hold um, those like unrealistic, catastrophic thoughts at bay enough.
Yeah, they're like projections into a reality that doesn't even exist.
Mhm. Yeah. Or exist maybe.
Very, very negative. Yeah, very negative projections. And I've been out with guys approaching and they're like, "Oh, well, what if her boyfriend's here or what if she's an escort?" Or I hear that all the time. Or I said, "Trust me, you're going to know if she's an escort. You're not going to have to do anything. She's going to be all over you." And I said, "You'll know the difference." And I'm like, and guys would be like, "Oh, well, what if she has an STD?" Or, what if the condom breaks? Just like crazy stuff to put a barrier, put a wall in front of them because they've gotten some kind of success like in the moment and they'll sabotage it like we were talking before, like how guys will sabotage perfectly good interaction with these irrational fears. And I'm not saying like some of that stuff is irrational. It's some of it can be true, but it's such a rare, rare, rare instance, you know, that any of that ever happens. Like of the thousands of guys that I've taken out approaching, we've never had an issue, not once. Like no guys ever had any kind of like negative fallout from it. So, you know, it's just not it's just not there when you do everything the right way. The guys that run into that kind of stuff, they're bringing that weird energy, the um, lack of grounding, the lack of emotional connection awareness, lack of social awareness, and that's what gets them in trouble at the end of the day. And they go back and they they just quit and live this like lonely life. Um, they're getting frustrated for not living up to their potential. They're just wasting their time ultimately, and then at the end of the day, there's so much self-judgment that comes back in on that loop and they just beat themselves up, and then they just kind of quit approaching and become this recluse.
Yeah, there's another thing that I would say to those guys too. Like, um, it's like, can you trust that you'll be able to figure it out if and when it happens? Like, if they're, say they're in like Bucharest with us, and they meet a girl and everything's amazing, and they're like afraid of what it's going to be like when they have to go back home. It's like, can you trust yourself to be able to figure it out? Like, maybe you end up in a long distance relationship with this girl for a minute. Like, can you trust that you'll figure out how to make that work? Can you trust that to figure out how to communicate that, like, hey, I'm leaving, like, I valued my time with you, right? Can you trust that they've got like Dave, me, Nick, Dom, Steven in their corner to like help them like figure out how to troubleshoot that, right? So a lot of like, and generally the guys that we work with, plenty smart, plenty capable of figuring that out too, right? And it's like, I'll just say, like, can you trust yourself? Can you trust that you can handle that when it comes up?
Yeah, exactly. And again, those irrational fears are super strong, and the answer is no, right? For a lot of guys, that's what they believe. And then ultimately, they can handle all kinds of situations, you know. And that another good point that you brought up is like when we're in Bucharest,
Mm-hmm.
I've taken guys there, they approach, they do their thing, they're happy, they come back to their city that they live in, they don't go out and approach.
Mm-hmm.
And guys will create stories about regions of women,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when it comes to like guys are like, oh, I can't approach in New York, or I can't approach in LA or Austin or Miami or whatever. The girls are too difficult. These are all just stories that guys create to hold themselves back. Yet once again, across the planet,
Mm-hmm.
women are women. They respond to pretty much the same thing. And to get yourself believing these types of things, if you go and do it in a workshop around dating and approaching, like it's just a story.
Mm-hmm.
You simply did the thing in Bucharest because you believed in the process, you did it, you executed it, you felt supported from the back end, you had a crew with you,
Mm-hmm.
and you go back to your hometown, and then that kind of goes away. You don't have that support system in the immediate moment.
Yeah.
But it's good to have your boys that you hang out with. So approaching isn't just about getting women, it's about having a solid set of guys that you can go out with
Mm-hmm.
until you can be the lone wolf that's out by himself approaching and doing his thing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. There's an important thing there too. It's like, what story do you tell yourself when you're back home? And like I was talking to a guy. He was like, yeah, it's been very easy for me to like, approach women in workshops, but when I go back home to, I forget where it's like, it was like Miami or LA or something like that. It's like, people are like, the women here are like materialistic, and like the models just want to date the guy with the Lamborghini. And I'm like, let's make a different story. Like, how many of those girls who are like models are tired of the like superficial connection that everyone seems to offer them, and are actually just looking for like a real down to earth guy that they can get along with, fuck, connect with, hang out with on the weekend, right? Like, let's start seeing those. Like, let's rewrite this, whatever story it is that you've got about your location, because there's always going to be women that are down for exactly the thing that you want, unless you're living in a tribe in the Amazon and there's like four people. But
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
let's create the positive story. As much mental effort is going into the negative story, let's put 10% of that towards a positive story that's going to be like empowering in some way. You could tell yourself, you know when there's no like coaches and workshop and other guys to like hold that for you. It's like, let's build that up.
Yeah. And then build up your circle of buddies that you go hang out with and go socialize and go out and like meet women with, right? so they can support you and egg you on and like get that good masculine challenge happening when you go out so that you don't feel alone, so you don't feel like you're in danger. You feel like you're out with your boys having a good time. And you know like when we're not in workshops, like you and Nick and I and Dom and we all hang out. Like all of us hang out and we go out and we practice different stuff and we, challenge ourselves in different ways and we just have a good time hanging out as guys. And, you know, women are always around, so that's not an issue. And it's just our choice as to whether we want to escalate that connection with that woman or not. Like it's just that simple. And so that's what guys should really be striving to do is build a nice community around them. Just a couple buddies, two or three maybe, could even just be one buddy.
Yeah.
And you guys go out and support each other as you're practicing your approaches or doing approaches or, whatever you got going on that's holding you back. You have some kind of system there. And that system that you build at home takes the place of the workshop, the coaches being there. And now your buddy may not know what the coaches know, but at the same time, you at least have the support to go out, feel safe, feel supported, and make your approaches.
Yeah, I used to have a buddy that I would get on the phone with like during our lunch hour, and like we would both be on the phone approaching girls, and he would hear the conversations that I was having. I would hear the conversations he was having, and he'd be like, "Oh, like that was really good. Oh, she was into you. She was curious about this thing. Things we might not have picked up on. Just like encouraged each other to do the thing. It's like you can build up that support system.
Yeah,
Put you
absolutely.
in touch with people that are in the same, could be same city, could be like same walk of life that you'll connect with, be able to go back and forth with. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah, that's a really good point about like community, right? Like your company, my company, like there's so many guys that are involved with us and guys start forming friendships in their cities, their towns, their own countries. Guys like fly to different states and different countries to hang out with each other and challenge each other and push each other. This happens all the time when you're a part of something like this. You get that connection, right? That you're not going to get with any other guy. Most likely, that's not studying at your level, and you're with like-minded guys that are studying at a certain level. And that's really important to have that connection with the community that you've been training with because they are a support system for you as well, which is really really awesome to have. And so many guys like hang out together. I love it. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're kind of hitting on like a main concern of guys that like pursue coaching, pursue like these workshops, right? It's like will the results stick? It's like
Yep,
it's like it depends on like the safety net you create for yourself and the stories that you tell yourself.
absolutely. Yep. Like a lot of guys will come into the workshop, they'll do the thing that they're supposed to be doing, and
Mm-hmm.
they kind of it's like they believe that it's magic. Like they're not really doing it. Oh, I did it because the coach told me to, or the coach advised me, or it just was, dumb luck that it worked. And it's like, no, you're actually feeling supported enough and encouraged enough to go to that next level that you want to achieve and hang out there. You shouldn't be regressing back that much. And so that's another thing that a lot of guys um, believe that, oh, I can do it in the workshop, but I can't do it at home. Well, yes, you can. If you've done it once, you can do it again. And at the end of the day, it's the guy taking the action, not the coach doing it for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so really, really important for guys to remember that come and participate in workshops.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, speaking of workshops, we've got one coming up in Bucharest. 5 days.
5 days,
5 days.
biggest one yet.
You're gonna deal with me, with Alex, with Nick, with Dom, Steven,
You're gonna
or
deal with all the hotties in Bucharest.
with all the hotties in Bucharest as well. Yeah. It's, the whole premise of the workshop is dating and approaching. And, you know, Alex and I are going to be taking you out approaching. We're going to be going through Bucharest, and you guys are going to lose your minds because there's so many beautiful women in Bucharest. And because of the cafe culture, because of just the culture of everybody walking around Bucharest, there's just so many people to meet, so many beautiful women to meet. Um, and it's like on the weekends, it's amazing, like 24 hours,
Hmm.
everybody's out till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, hanging out. Like it's just a wonderful experience to get involved with. And would encourage you guys to enjoy to join us in Bucharest for the effortless attraction workshop. I mean, 5 days long, 5 coaches, you know, there's no other place that you're going to get that. I mean, that's pretty unique, and it's something unique that we built. So it's it's a no-brainer, quite honestly.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you have to say about the workshop?
Honestly, the the experience of like if especially if guys don't live there, right? Like being in a new place, like-minded guys, a full roster, like a full team of coaches that are going to help you. Um, it's like an incubator. It's like incubate like that'll work better than just getting on a phone call with me once a week. It's gonna be work better than sessions here and there. Like actually being able to like get in this like incubator where you feel supported with other guys around doing the same thing. Where the women are like the girls in Bucharest are definitely like very responsive to like when you take risks for yourself and have your own agency, right? And it's like all the conditions are perfect for developing this skill set, this emotional skill set, this self belief, this being able to just go and do the thing that you want because fuck it, why not? Life's short, like conditions are perfect. Yeah, I couldn't think of a better like looking back on like 16-year-old me, like dude, he would have lost his mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even just about going there for the girls.
Hmm.
I mean, the culture, the food, the city, the architecture, the art around is just awesome. Like it's such a cool vibe. And I've been coaching in Bucharest since 2015. Long, long, long time. So, I don't know how many workshops I've run there, probably 20 or 30, if not more, maybe 40, quite a few. And it's just, I mean, yes, the women are beautiful there and they're receptive and they're fun and they really enjoy foreign men. But at the end of the day, man, it's so much more than that for me. It's an all-encompassing experience of being in Eastern Europe and hanging out. Just such a good time. I know, Alex, you had a question or some questions for me.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually curious because I didn't have a lot of like dudes around me that would like egg me on to do the thing, It's like very just solo figuring it out. What was that like for you having like brothers or like friends that would just like egg you on to like go get the girl? What was that support like?
It was for me, I didn't know any different, right? Because again, like this was back in the mid 90s, mid to late 90s that, I was kind of coming into all of this, I was in high school, like um, I'd grown up in a extremely masculine culture where I grew up, with some dads that were pretty damn scary. Like they would they would knock your head off if you did anything, if you stepped out of line kind of thing. But, they expected you to work really hard. They were super masculine. Like in in my family, the families that we associated with, there was only one girl around.
Hmm.
In all the families that my family associated with, they all had boys.
Mm.
So it was just like a gang of boys all the time. And we would fight and wrestle and like beat each other up and like ride dirt bikes together. Like it was really cool growing up like that. And I didn't know the benefits of it at the time, but having my childhood steeped in very, I would say, borderline toxic masculinity. I always like to say hyper because it wasn't fully toxic, is a little toxic, but not like hardcore toxic. Really helped shape my perspective of being a boy at that point, being a teenager later, and then being an adult much later in life. And to have friends to tease you and push you and go out there and um, take the risk is it's such an important tool to have in your back pocket. And that's what coming to a workshop does. That's what building a community of guys around you does. That's what, connecting with the guys that you're in the workshop with. Um, it does all that. It gives you that advantage. And it's such an advantage to have that support system behind you. So for me, I didn't know any better. I just thought everybody did this. And as I learned about way back in the day when I was basically being a professional wingman for guys in DC and like learning about dating coaching, when I first heard about dating coaching, I was like, what the hell? I was like, who does that? That was like my initial thought. I'm like, who the hell does that? And
For you, it's
I
like
said,
how to
well,
drink water coaching.
yeah, exactly. To me, in my mind and the way I was raised, like I didn't know any different. It was like you hang out with your boys, you chase girls, like you get in fights and like give each other a hard time. And like, that was just my life. And yeah, it was super advantageous, very advantageous. And I've really liked to take that period of time and like somehow recreate it. And I sort of have done that, with the Limitless Brave and everything. Like we've got a nice community. So, and I'm always there for the guys. Like they've got some shit that pops up. Like one even texted me today, like had some shit going on. Like, I'm not getting paid to call like have a call with him, but I do it because like that's my role as like a leader
Mhm.
in what I'm teaching. And, yeah, he's done workshops with me, but and that's kind of a service that I offer for most of the clients. And, I don't obviously put it out there because I don't want to be on the phone all the time, but if somebody really needs something, I'm there for them. And so, yeah, just having that support it just makes you feel that much more confident when you're making the approach, when you're going for it. You had all your boys like cheering you on. And I'll tell you another story about support. Like when it comes to men,
Mhm.
men will support each other when it comes to picking up women. Women will not support each other when it comes to picking up men. Women are extremely confrontational, competition based, will rip that other girl apart, especially if she likes that girl or that guy. And men are not that way. And I was in New York one time and I kind of had a stalker. This girl was kind of a stalker, but she was a Latina hottie. And I was in New York doing a workshop, and the next thing I know, I get a message from her saying, "Are you in New York?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, yeah, why? Are you? Yeah, I am. And she was like really close to where the workshop was running. And I was like, okay, like we really hadn't had any conversation of any kind of extent prior to that. And I was like, this is weird. So she's like, can you get dinner or lunch? And I'm like, well, I could do lunch today. So long story short, we like go to lunch. We're outside this restaurant. Like her back is facing the glass window of this restaurant. We finish lunch. I'm like making out with her. I'm like grabbing her butt, like holding her, making out with her right on the street in front of the restaurant. And I look up, like as we finish kissing, there's all these dudes in the window going, yeah, like just like there was like 8 or 10 of them just jumping up and down, like just fist pumping, like inside the restaurant. And I'm like, what the hell? And that's when it dawned on me. I was like, man, guys like really support other dudes who
Hmm.
are going out to approach the girl, get the girl, because they know how difficult it can be
Yeah.
and they know the support that men need. So it was such a funny thing to experience and a funny thing
Hmm.
to to see, but also a good thing to realize.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to point out too. Like I've almost exclusively had positive reactions from dudes who have like seen me approach a girl, like seen me do something risky. And then like I there's been some like supportive like female reactions, right? I wouldn't say it's all negative. Uh, Definitely had some girls like wing their friend on me, like that sort of thing. Um,
Sure, sure.
but yeah, like the support from dudes is like kind of overwhelming too. It's like a lot of
That's awesome.
a lot of clients might be scared of like, if I approach this girl and everybody in the cafe or restaurant sees me, like, are they gonna be like disgusted by me, like off put? And it's like, no, generally all the dudes are gonna be like giving you a round of applause, and then all the girls are gonna be like, "What? That was kind of cool." Secretly, I wish that was me he was talking to, but
100%. 100%. Cool. Anything else?
yeah, I think that was it. I was mostly just curious, like background, what it was like for you growing up. So
Yeah, I mean, background was, I mean, in a nutshell, there was women always around. Um, you know, I kind of didn't like really engage with a lot of them, just like my first girlfriend.
mm-hmm.
Um, but like they were engaging with me, man. Like they would come by and leave like little letters in my parents' mailbox. Like they would call my parents home, back in the day before cell phones. Like my mom would screen calls. I'd tell her like if there's any girls, like I don't want to talk to them, and that just like kind of built the intrigue, the mystery, right? That's another component that I actually did a whole webinar on one time was mystery and building this mystery and this intrigue about, well, why doesn't he want to hang out with me? Who's hanging out with him? Like all this kind of stuff. So, I would kind of get embarrassed when my mom would be like, here, this is for you. And it's like some note from some girl like left in my parents' mailbox. I feel like, ugh, just like throw it away.
Goodies.
But I was like, ew, cooties, you know? Um, but yeah, women were always around in my life as I got into my teenage years, so to speak. So but prior to that, I was just pretty much boys. I mean, there were girls around, obviously, in school, and I really kind of started getting turned on by girls in middle school. Like when I was in middle school, I was like, that's when I first started really like getting into girls, and then high school, I was like definitely into them, and it's just been, just women just been around, and um, it hasn't been that difficult to get girls. It really hasn't.
Mhm.
And some guys will be like, "Oh, fuck you. Like, I don't want to learn from you." And it's like, bro, like I know the nuances. There's a reason that I can do it as well as I do it because I know all the nuances. I've done it thousands of times. And like you need to learn from that. Like it's so subtle what I do that and that's what I really want guys to walk away with is like their own natural pattern, natural ability to go and approach a woman that feels so natural, so smooth. That's what I strive to get out of every single guy that comes and works with me, or like the guys that are coming to the Bucharest workshop, they're going to get the exact same thing.
Mhm.
It's not about copying me or Alex or Nick or Dom or anybody else. You have to do it in your own way, in your own style, with your own personal energetics, your own quirks, your own ways of being solid. And when you can do that, you're unstoppable. You
Hmm.
really are.
Yeah, yeah. Like I would say the biggest thing that we provide is guidance more towards like just as coaches in general. Just like the biggest thing we provide is like helping people get more congruent with themselves. And so
Yep.
it's not like here's how to make eye contact in a way that makes women wet. It's like okay, like what like how do you show up more fully yourself in a way that's like connectable
Exactly.
and like that's
100%.
the core, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You said
Giving
something
your,
I want to like
you,
circle back to for a second. It's like your
oh, yeah,
experience
sure, sure.
in high school. Uh, Even though like me as a like fairly lonely high school kid, uh, very closed off emotionally, generally not a lot of self belief when it comes to like dating, socializing. I still I had the blinders on, so I didn't see it at the time. Uh, but girls still like wanted my attention, wanted to spend time with me.
Yep.
I was just so like closed off and shut off to it because it wasn't in my belief system.
Yeah.
So like if any guy is hearing this and he's like fuck you, it's so easy for you, it's like I guarantee you there's women that are exactly the right fit for you. Just love all the weird quirks about you. Love the way you carry yourself, present yourself. Like for whatever reason, like that's exactly her thing, and you're probably not seeing that. And like it's fine.
Totally.
Yeah. It, it's fine if you're not seeing that yet, but like that is still part of just the way things are. So it's just a
Absolutely.
you know.
You're 100% right. And I'm glad you brought that up because I see women with glances of attraction to so many guys, and the guys don't even, they're clueless. They're clueless. And I can literally say I've seen and witnessed tens of thousands of interactions because I used to bounce at a bar and I used to manage two nightclubs. So I've seen literally tens of thousands of interactions and watched people interact. And when you have that level of experience of watching that much, like you're absolutely right, Alex. So many guys miss all of the traction components to the girl and multiple girls that actually like them, but just don't see it, and that's why they need to come and work with us at the end of the day so we can show them how subtle this stuff is and what to look out for when women are actually engaging with them or trying to engage with them.
Yeah, yeah, just get that into their
Yeah, glad you brought that up, man. That's
yeah,
a good one.
yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's all the questions I got. So
Yeah. So, guys, that's all the questions you got.
yeah.
So, guys, like, if you're, if you're tired of struggling and, feeling alone when it comes to your approaching, come get in this workshop, work with us. You're not going to be able to fix a lot of this on your own with the brain that created this system that you're currently living in. You need outside perspective to get you a new reality, right? That's really, really, really important. And, with all the coaches there, with Alex and I, especially when it comes to approaching, we're gonna we're gonna tell you where the potholes are so you can go around them. We're gonna take the blinders off of you so that you can see what it is that you've been missing, right? And that's the really important thing about coaches being with you when it comes to approaching is them being able to kind of sort the women in the area for the ones that are more open and the other ones that are closed that you don't want to approach because it's just going to build another bad experience for you. And, I'm not saying that we get every single one right, but we get a lot right. And it's enough to start changing that cognitive bias in your mind so that you can say, yeah, I can do this. And that's what it's about. Imagine going from where you are now and the amazing experiences that you're going to have after the workshop, after you come and work with us. You know, Imagine being able to do what it is that you want to do. And how amazing that is that going to feel when you get the girl, you make the approach, you take her on a date, you take her home, you guys have sex, you have a relationship or you don't. Maybe it's a one night stand, maybe it's a threesome, who knows? But what's really important is your ability to go and do that task. And it starts with getting involved with people that know how to do it, that can, that can really help you um, perfect this art because it is really an art. So, if your strategy of being numb and shut off and antisocial and lacking self-confidence and self-esteem hasn't been working for you and it's been leading you to a dateless and unfulfilled life, come join us in Bucharest. It's going to be awesome. And that starts April, was that 24th?
25th,
April 25th. And goes through the 20 to the 29th or the 30th
29th.
to the 29th. Perfect. We're going to have models there. Alex and I are going to be taking you out. Dom's going to be there. Nick's going to be there. Steven's going to be there. You're going to have a tremendous amount of support for what we got going on. And if you don't get enough out of the effortless attraction workshop and you really want to focus hardcore on your approaching, just a few days later, I'm running a 3-day approaching workshop that is going to knock your socks off. That's for sure. So look forward to seeing you guys in Bucharest. Alex, man, this was a good conversation. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Same. I do want to say one thing too, as well. Like, for all the guys that are still watching this after all this time, like, there's a reason you're here. Like, you deserve to, like you deserve to have the experiences that you want. With you deserve to be able to like look at a beautiful woman in the street and like not feel ashamed for doing that. You deserve to be able to like talk to a girl just because you want to, just because you want to hear her voice, just because you like the way her lips move. Like, you deserve to like have a great sexual experience. You deserve to just
Yeah,
like walk through the park with you know a girl that you're proud to be seen in public with on your arm. Like you deserve all those things. Like, you're
totally.
not because of anything special. Like, you're a dude, and that's just how it is. Let's capitalize on that.
Yeah. And guys, like I guarantee you most of you are doing way too much work to try to get your dating life to work. And it's about actually doing less. As you become more masculine, you get your energetic signature kind of dialed in, you get your emotional connection dialed in, you understand your own emotions, you understand the social dynamics involved in approaching and all that. Man, you'll uh, you'll be loving life. All right,
Awesome.
Alex. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
You too.